All right, Mike Tagubin, Hal Midakyapi, Noah Hitaru. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another beautiful evening here at Good Medicine Way. We're really glad that you're able to join us tonight as we're getting ready to hear from uh, Sean Connery. Hey, was it Sean Connor? Shaken Not Stirred. Just kidding. As we prepare to hear from our relative at relatives Amber and Sean O'Connor. Last week, Uncle Casey was saying that his name sounded like Sean Connery. Chicken not stirred, eh? But yes, okay. So Good Medicine Way is coming to you live from Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is the ancestral homelands of the Tewa people or the Pueblo people. It's also home to the Dene and the Apache, and as well as many of the tribes that now reside within the Albuquerque city limits. So we do a land acknowledgement to honor our ancestors who used to own, or not really own, but roam the land. So my name is Upeti Daka, which means white star in the Pawnee language, and I'm coming to you from the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes in El Reno, Oklahoma. So I just wanted to say welcome to Good Medicine Way, and we look forward to hearing from our relative tonight. All right. Hey, it looks like Uncle Casey is popping in here. Hey, did you want to say some words, Uncle?
Yeah, Ken, I'm here at the Denver airport on my way home from Michigan. Just boarding here in probably about 15 minutes. I just want to welcome everybody. You know that my schedule sometimes takes me out of the place there, but I try to connect virtually whenever I travel. So I'm going to hang on as long as I can here. I might go off screen so that don't bother you with some of the images here. All you can see is my people in line. I'm just waiting here. So you guys will do a good job. Thank you, Kelsey, for doing it. Brian, and those are others that are there. I'll try to catch you on the end. I think by the time it's about an hour flight, so I might catch the end. Okay. I got a good friend coming on there, Sean O'Connor. Yeah, I've got to meet him and minister with him a little bit here, and we'll probably go up there someday here and worship with him. Okay, I'll leave it over to you. Bye bye.
All right. Thank you for saying a few words, Uncle. It's good to see you, and we hope that you have a safe flight. But yes, but yeah. So okay, so we're going to go into our opening or directional prayer, which will be offered in person. So I'm gonna go ahead and hand this on over to Brian for our opening and directional prayer. So go ahead and take it away.
All right. And after the prayer, we'll go right into our opening song. Since I'll be here anyway, so we'll just flow right into it. But I think, let me see, I think I actually have the words to this prayer that I can share. It might be kind of tiny type, but yeah. So this was actually a Methodist pastor wrote this, and I adapted it a little bit for us. So here we go. Creator, as we face the east, we offer gratitude for the rising sun and for waking up this morning. This entire day and all the experiences that come with today are gifts from you. As we face the south, we offer thankfulness for today's opportunities to learn or practice new ways. Your love rejoices in our efforts and sustains us through the hard lessons. As we face the west, we offer appreciation for the winds that bring change and insight. As we face the north, we ask that wisdom may ripen within us so that we may walk the good road with learning. We look to Father Sky. Creator is majestic, beyond all of our knowing or telling, but always no further than lifting our intention skyward. Thank you for all of creation and for allowing us to be part of it. We connect to Mother Earth. You have been patient with us through our greed and thoughtlessness, and have still provided food, water, air, and shelter for us. We thank you. May we have the strength and courage to defend you as any child should defend their mother from those that walk harshly and lack gratefulness. As we turn our attention within and honor our spirit, help us remember that we are important to you, Creator. Empower us to walk in humbleness, always mindful of all our relations in creation, that we may bring harmony to our part of it. May our hearts and minds be welcoming and attentive to your presence, O Creator. Aho. May it be so. And then let me switch the words over, and we'll do our opening song. Yahweh, Yah, Yah. Oops, sorry, I forgot to switch the mics. Yahweh, Yah, Yah, Yahweh, Yah, Yahweh, Yah, Yah, Yahweh, Yah, way, Yah, hey, yo. Yahweh, Yah, Yah, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yah, way, Yah, hey, yo. Yahweh, Yah, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yah, way, Yah, hey, yo. Way, Yahweh, Yah, Yah, way, Yahweh, Yah, Yah, Yahweh, Yah, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yah, way, Yah, hey, yo. Way, Yahweh, Yah, Yah, way, Yahweh, Yah, Yah, Yahweh, Yah, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yah, way, Yah, hey, yo. Hear my cry, oh God. Listen to my prayer. From the ends of the earth, I call to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. For you have been a refuge for me. And a tower of strength against the enemy. A tower of strength against the enemy. Hear my cry, oh God. Listen to my prayer. From the ends of the earth, I call to you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. For you have been a refuge for me. And a tower of strength against the enemy. A tower of strength against the enemy. A tower of strength against the enemy. And let me dwell in your tent forever. Yahweh, Yah, Yah, Yahweh, Yah, Yahweh, Yah, Yah, Yahweh, Yah, way,
All right. Thank you for that, Brian. That was absolutely beautiful. Such a perfect song. I love Powwow 61. Eh? But yes, I was just thinking a little bit about um like what the topic is for tonight, which is from war to what was that again? Sorry, I took off my glasses. But he was talking about going from war to like ministry or something. Um, but I was thinking a lot with the connection to that song and how beautiful it is. And tonight we're going to ask our sister Heaven to offer a creation insight, which is just a little sharing of like what has been shared, what has been given to Heaven to give to us. I'm sorry, I'm so lost right now, and I think I need to take a moment and pray. But while Heaven is sharing tonight, I will go ahead and just take a moment. So go ahead and whenever you're ready, Heaven, go ahead and share.
Thanks for letting me share. The lands that I call home are the ancestral homelands of the Chickasaw, the Kaskaskia, the Potawatomi, the Way, the Peoria, the Kickapoo, and many other tribes. Spring is here, and I think it's probably one of my favorite seasons. I like how everything turns green again. The leaves start coming back, and the bulb flowers, like even though the frost comes back, they're really resilient, you know? They're just ready for spring and they're ready to wake everybody else up too. And I really like that. I went to an exhibit tonight at the U of I. They had a missing and murdered Indigenous relatives Red Regalia project. And this wonderful, cool lady named Angel Star was showing like this group effort. She brought a bunch of students together to make regalia, kind of like, you know, Laura does, but she'd done the same thing and brought people together to like raise awareness through this exhibition and through the regalia they created together. And it made me happy because they had like a vision board where everybody had been gathered together around these sewing machines, and you could just tell that like it wasn't just making the skirts, it was like they had come together to share stories and together, and in creating their art they had created community. And I think like that's kind of the beauty of creation, is like we don't really always realize when we're creating something, we're just like following the lead of the spirit, you know? And it's amazing how much creator creates just by thinking, and how much we get to be involved in it if we can bring our hearts closer to him. So that's my 2 cents for creation insights tonight. Thank you for letting me share.
Yes, thank you, Heaven. Thank you. While I was listening to your story, I was thinking about like how good it feels to be connected to Creator and like connected to one another. I was laughing just a moment ago when I saw that Brian and I were both wearing hues of blue tonight. And then our speaker also has a blue shirt on in his picture right now. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. I'm so excited to hear what's going to happen next. But thank you, Heaven. Thank you very much. That was great. All right. So now we will be going into reading the Lord's Prayer from the First Nations version. As as Uncle Casey had shared a few weeks ago, we're on a challenge right now. Maybe we might take it a little step further. I'm gonna suggest this to Uncle Casey now. That we should have someone take turns reading it or take turns leading it. Instead of to see how well we know it. But I'm going to go ahead and hand this on over to Brian so that way we can all read it together. So whenever you're ready, Brian, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Creator sets free shows us how to pray. O great Spirit, our Father from above, we honor your name as sacred and holy. Bring your good road to us, where the beauty of your ways in the spirit world above is reflected in the earth below. Provide for us day by day the elk, the buffalo, the salmon, the corn, the squash, and the wild rice, all the things we need for each day. Release us from the things we have done wrong. In the same way, we release others who have done wrong to us. Guide us away from the things that tempt us to stray from your good road, and set us free from the evil one and his worthless ways. Aho, may it be so.
All right. Thank you. Aho, may it be so. But yes, okay. Thank you for that, everybody. We need the Lord's Prayer from the First Nations version. All right, so now we're going to be going into our smoke signals and giveaway time. Our smoke signals time is basically our announcements time. Back in the old days, the way that different camps and villages and communities would communicate with another was over a home fire. They would take a blanket and they would make puffs of smoke go to the sky. So in this way, we use our smoke signals time here as our announcements time for all of us to hear what's going on in our nations. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and hand this on over to Brian, so that way he can do the few announcements.
All right. Yeah, the main thing is our book club. We're going through Edith and Randy Woodley's Journey to Elohe. It's kind of their personal history in how, as their relationship with Creator deepened, and the paths he led them on, and how they got to doing what they're doing today. Not only doing a lot of things as far as like contextualization and really allowing fully authentic Native expression within church circles, but also more so than that, seeing how the teachings of Jesus, the teachings of Creator Set Free kind of naturally correspond with Native ways of being. And and they're up in the Northwest, and they have a big property up there that they do a lot of farming. They do a lot of heirloom seeds to try to revitalize seeds that are on the verge of being lost, and involved in a lot of earth justice stuff as well. And of course, Randy has written many, many books, and he's always great to read. But yeah, so we're going through their Journey to Elohe. That's Tuesdays at 6:30, and the link to that will be posted up on our Good Medicine Way wall on Facebook. If it's not convenient for you to get to Facebook, if you just email us at gmw, the number 4, abq@gmail.com. Again, that's GMW for Good Medicine Way, 4 ABQ for Albuquerque @gmail.com. So GMW for ABQ@gmail.com. And yeah, we'll send you the link. It is an online only meeting. So yeah, we just do that through Zoom. And if you're not sure if you know how to get connected in that way, just also send us an email and we can help you out with all that. But yeah, Tuesdays at 6:30, and look for the link on the Facebook page. And Casey, as he said earlier, is traveling back to Albuquerque. So he's in mid-flight right now. Seems like flights have been crazy lately. So hopefully we could pray for Creator to keep that fake bird up in the air and, and get him home safely. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody else has any announcements or things that they know that are going on. Yeah, spring going into summer. There's a lot of events that go on in Native communities. So keep your ears and eyes open for those. Those are great opportunities to get reconnected into Native pathways if you haven't already been doing so.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and on the Powwow Trail, on the Powwow Trail, the big one is coming up towards the end of the month. Good, what is it? Gathering of Nations, the Gathering of Nations powwow, is coming up somewhere towards the end of April. Sorry, I don't have the dates right in front of me, but I know that it's usually around my birthday, which is the 26th. So yeah, so it's really exciting. They're going to be crowning the new Miss Indian World, and like all the different showcasings, the display, the dancing, the connection with the drum. It's a really wonderful experience. Granted, it is a little controversial, but it's still, when you're going there for the right reasons, you will feel the spirit. And if not, there is another powwow going on that Sunday. So it's with the Nijoni, I think it was, with the Nijoni club from UNM or whatever it's called. Yeah, so there's that one coming up on that Sunday too. So that'd be really awesome. Everybody, everyone who can travel to Albuquerque, New Mexico, we should all go to the Nijoni one. And then we'll go hang around for Good Medicine Way on Monday nights. Just a suggestion. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to say a little bit about. And but yeah, if anyone has any announcements, anything to, share. Oh, also my sister is doing much better now. She is back at home. So she's making a good quick recovery. So thank you for the prayers for that. And yeah, if you have any announcements, just raise your hand, and yeah, we'd be really happy to hear about something good, something in need of prayer. So, and if not, you can put it in the chat too. So, all right, I'm gonna hand this back to Brian. Hey.
all right, yeah, and for those details, looked it up here online. So yeah, the Gathering of Nations powwow is April 24 to 26 is what it says. So I think that's uh, I think that's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Um, but then on Sunday, April 28th, is the Nijoni Days powwow. Yeah, and that's the Kiva Club from the University of New Mexico hosts that. But that's a really great one because as Upitaka was saying, like the Gathering of Nations is it's gotten a little bit corporate because it's so huge. So the Nijoni Days is really awesome because it's very non-corporate and like they have lots of dancing, but it's no competition. Like we're all dancing together, to honor Creator. And so yeah, so it's always either right before or right after. So this year it's going to be right after, and it's free. It's out on the big lawn on the east side of the UNM campus. So yeah, two powwows coming up at the end of the month, and yeah, and keep your eyes open for stuff going on locally. We've got so many different pueblos and reservations out here. There's stuff going on all summer, so yeah, keep your eyes open for your own area. And, all right. Well, if there's no other announcements, I can talk about our favorite thing, money. Not really. People who know me know like I'm very like not a capitalist, but we're in a capitalist society, so you need money to make things work and function and keep things going. So if you would like to support Good Medicine Way financially, we really appreciate that. We're going to have a blanket on the floor here in person, but I'll put a digital blanket up on the screen. and that has a QR code that you can scan, and that'll take you to an online interface where you can give to us online. And if you prefer not to give online, or if you have non-monetary things that you'd like to share with us, our mailing address will also be up on the screen. So you can send us things there. And if you have skills or talents that you would like to share with Good Medicine Way, please get in contact with us, either on the Facebook page or through email. Again, that's GMW for ABQ at gmail.com. And yeah, we love to get people involved and to hear from everybody. That's always been a very big priority with Good Medicine Way, is to not have, like overt leaders and overt speakers and things like that, but to really try to make a space for everyone within the community to have a voice and to share. So if you'd like to get involved, please get in contact with us and let us know. And the links and the address are also pinned to the top of our Facebook page. So if you can't copy it down off the thing, you can get it off our Facebook page. Okay, I gotta stop looking at the chat. It's making me laugh and getting me distracted. But anyway, without further ado, let me put up the blanket, and I'll be doing a little bit of our version of Bill Miller's Praises song to give you some
All right.
time to do all that.
And also, while you're doing that, real quick, there are two announcements in the chat right now about the revitalization of the American Indian. One moment. Oh, okay. Revitalization of American Indian Ministries is meeting at the Navajo BIC mission in Bloomfield this Saturday at 10 a.m. Seems like that's going to be a very good meeting. That's a good place to go, right? And there's also another one that was shared about the artist workshops at the Native American House at University of Illinois. They are creating red beaded earrings to put in the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives exhibition, April 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, from 2 to 7. So be on the lookout for that one. That sounds really cool. But yeah, and then that's all I see here. Besides that funny comment that he's talking about. But yeah, so all right, Brian, I'm gonna hand it back to you. Hallelujah. Eh? Eh? Another great song there. Eh? But yes, you really should put out a little CD for us to jam to whenever we're traveling across the United States and Turtle Island. Eh? But yes, all right.
I have actually thought about like making a playlist on our YouTube channel that's just like all the songs. So like you could just like jam the playlist. But yeah, that's another project on the list of things to do.
Eh, yes, yes, always something more to create. Eh? But yeah, I look forward to that when that does come out. Eh? Hey. All right, and now we're going to be going into reading creators' words that will be coming from Romans chapter 12, verse 1. So we're going to be calling on our relative in person or Helen. Sorry. Sorry. We're going to be calling on our relative Helen. Eh? So whenever you're ready, go ahead and read creators' words for us.
All right. And it so happens this is one of my favorite verses. So I love it. And I love this translation. So, becoming a true human being. So then, my sacred family members, because Creator has shown us such mercy and kindness, I now call on you to offer your whole beings, heart, mind, and strength to the Great Spirit as a living sacrifice. Do this in a sacred and spiritual manner that will make his heart glad. This is the word of Creator.
All right. Thank you, Helen. Aho. All right. So now we'll be going into our centering and stillness time, which will be provided by Brian with the Native American flute. This will give us a chance to prepare our hearts to, get ready to hear what our relative Sean has to share. So whenever you're ready, Brian, take it away.
All right. Since Casey is in the air and not online right now, I can just do a brief introduction for Sean, and I'll let him fill out the rest. But yeah, we met Sean and Amber O'Connor a couple years ago now, I think, when they accepted the position over at the Navajo BIC, who are long-term friends and partners with Casey and with all of us at Good Medicine Way. And as Sean will be sharing, they had a very interesting pathway to get to that ministry. And I'll let Sean share the details he wants because I'll probably mess him up and get him wrong. So rather than having to correct everything, I'll just let him share what he wants. But yeah, we're really excited to have Sean with us to share about his journey. So take it away, Sean.
Well, good evening. Thank you guys for having me. It's such an honor to be back among this group. I got to speak to you guys. I guess it's been over a year ago now. There in person. So Casey reached out to me, and I'd recently wrote a book and published called From War to Worship. And I was detailing my journey of not just my time as a soldier and the battles I experienced, but really my entire life and the battles I faced throughout my life, how those battles prepared me for what God was getting ready to place me into. And so, again, I just want to thank you guys for having me. It's such an honor to be with you today. And so I want to start off. I really like that passage, Romans 12:1, and I had it here in my notes to talk about tonight. And I really like two translations of it. I really like the New Living Translation and the First Nations version. I like both of those because they both really kind of drive the point home. In the New Living Translation, it says, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him." And in the First Nation version, "So now I urge you, my sacred family members, in light of Creator's great kindness, to offer your whole being as a living offering, set apart for his purposes and walking in a sacred manner. This is the true and proper way to honor and give him thanks." There's a reason why I chose those, or I chose Romans 12:1, and because worshiping our Creator, worshiping our God is so vital in our growth and in overcoming obstacles. And so that's what my book was really about. It's about the ability to overcome battles, the ability to overcome different obstacles in your life. And the most important thing, it's about being redeemed by the grace of Jesus Christ. The redemption that I experienced really is what brought me here to the place I am today. God took me from a life of war to a life of worship. And I believe that he wants to do the same in your life, in each and every one of our lives. No matter where you've been or what you've done, there's this opportunity for God to elevate us, to bring us out of the darkness, those pits, when you feel like there's no hope. Uh, he always finds a way. And it doesn't matter what you've done or where you're coming from, as long as you're willing to follow and trust, then you can be redeemed. As I start off, from war to worship really kind of entails two things. It is about my life and coming to worship or coming to serve in ministry positions. But I did wear the uniform. I was in the United States Army for 21 and a half years. I've been in the trenches overseas. I fought in war zones, and back home I fought in spiritual ones. But long before I entered this physical war within the military, I was already kind of in one as it stands. I was raised in chaos. I was raised on abuse, hunger. I spent most of my childhood homeless. At 9 years old, I tell a story in my book that at 9 years old, I was arrested for opening soda bottles. If you remember, back in the 90s, you used to be able to go to a convenience store and the bottles would have yellow caps. And under the yellow caps, you would be able to win certain things. And my mother had given me enough money to purchase her and her boyfriend a soda for the day. But the kids, we had not eaten. And so my thought process was that if I could open the bottle caps without being seen and find one and that was, I ended up getting arrested. And so these are the type of things that not only detail in my book, but that I grew up with. I talk about how at 12 years old, I came home from school and my mother had moved away without me, how she had taken all of my siblings and she had left the state. She had moved away. She took every sibling, and I have quite a few siblings, but she left without me. And that left me feeling hopeless, lost, really unworthy. And that was my battlefield. And we all have those types of battlefields. I would like to say that my story is unique, but it's really not. Uh, Everybody has similar stories. We all have stories where there's been trials in our lives or times that we felt as if we don't have a way forward. And I'm sure yours may look different than mine. It may be very similar. But I want you to know that God is not afraid of your battlefield. In fact, that's where he does his best work. I go on in my story to talk about my attempted suicide and how God used somebody in that moment to bring me back from the edge, and introduce me to a church, introduce me to a different way. You know, Romans 5:8 says in the New Living Translation, but God showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. And on Sunday, I use that same verse during my sermon here at our church. In the First Nations versions, it says, but Creator sets free, gave his life for us, showing how deep the Great Spirit's love is, even while we were still full of broken ways and walking the wrong path. And I love the First Nations version there because I love this still full of broken ways and walking the wrong path. You know, as we get closer to Easter and we get to this time where we're going to celebrate the death and resurrection of our Savior, this idea that he did so and went to the cross while we were still full of broken ways and while we were still walking the wrong path, or in the New Living Translation, while we were still sinners, while we were still failures. The fact that I serve a loving, risen God that was willing to die for me even before I was born and was willing to be there and redeem me even when I was still full of broken ways. You know, there gets to a point, even in my book, where I talk about reaching these breaking points. And there was a period where I thought that, you know, I was doing great in life. I was a decorated soldier, Bronze Star recipient. I'd made Master Sergeant long before my peers. I was a leader, but I was still broken. If we go back to that idea of still full of broken ways, I was broken. I was suicidal. I had a drinking problem. I was angry. I had seen too much. I had done too much, and I couldn't see a way forward. But God always saw a way forward, even in the midst of my battles, even in the midst of my struggles, even when I was broken, he always saw a way forward. You know, as I was talking earlier about my suicide, my suicidal ideations or my attempted suicide. See, a lot of people say that's a failed suicide attempt. Anytime I'm speaking to a group of people, I like to say that's a successful suicide attempt. Anytime somebody survives, that's success. That's not a failure. But in that moment when I was broken, God sent somebody to invite me to church, and it changed everything. I got saved during a power team event. You may remember, I don't know if you guys remember the power team. Huge fan of the power team. And being a big guy, weightlifter, man, I miss those guys. They did a lot of great work. But I saw these huge individuals, these monsters on stage doing these feats of strength at a time when I was broken, man. When there was no way forward for me at all, when I felt like I was in a pit and that there was no light. And here were these guys that were supposed to be bigger than life, and then they got up and told stories very similar to mine. They told how they were broken, how they'd gone through tragedy. And it was in that moment I found myself kneeling at this altar and allowing a savior to rescue me. Psalms 42 says, he lifted me out of the pit of despair, out of the mud and the mire. He set my feet on solid ground and steadied me as I walked along. In the First Nations version, it's very similar, but it says he reached down and lifted me out of a dark pit, out of the mud and swamp. I really like that because when you think of a swamp, you think of something that's hard to get through. The mud, it's difficult to walk through. It's difficult to find your path. He set my feet on solid ground and gave me a firm path to walk on. And that's what our God does. That's what our Savior does. He gives us a firm path to walk on. Like I said, I really like that mud and swamp reference in the First Nations version, because trying to trudge through the mud, oh yeah, yeah, swamps can also be dangerous. Yeah, the things that are in the swamp can be very dangerous. But it says he set my feet on solid ground. He steadied me as I walked along. Or in the First Nations version, he gave me a firm path to walk on. If you've only ever walked on mud or sand, being able to walk on a firm path, it allows you to really see where you're going. It allows you to have confidence in what you're doing. When you're in the mud and swamp, as Helen just said, it's full of snakes and leeches, and I'm terrified of snakes. You guys don't want to hear my snake stories, trust me. I have a complete fear of them. But you can't really see the dangers. But when you're on solid ground, you can see what's coming, and you feel like you have a way forward. You feel safe. You feel like you have some control. But God didn't just save me, and this goes for all of us. God didn't save us to just sit in a pew or in chairs, or in this case on a Zoom call. No, he calls us to serve him. He called me to the mission field first, through recovery, going through my own recovery, then preaching and leadership. Today I get an opportunity to serve here as the director of the Navajo Brethren in Christ Mission. I get an opportunity to serve as the pastor of First Nations Gathering. And I get to work with wonderful people like Casey and see all of the great things that are happening within the Native American culture. And it sometimes amazes me that God took me, this broken shell of a person who spent most of his childhood homeless, and raised me up to put me in a place where I could witness to others. And it really does. It amazes me even today. Like I said, I love serving here. I love the Navajo people, and I've been serving here for 15 years now. And when I was there in person, I shared kind of my story and how we got to be here at the mission. And in the book, I talk about it too, about getting an opportunity to meet some of the Navajo people, falling in love with the people, falling in love with the community that I now serve, but seeing their struggles and all of the heartache that was going on here. And it really just felt like God was calling me. And in the book, I talk about the multiple times I tell God, no, I'm not the right person. You should find somebody else. And he keeps sending these people into my life to say, hey, you're going to go serve here. You're going to go serve as a pastor or as a leader within ministry. I keep telling him, no, it's just not me. But just like he ends up sending me, he may want to send you as well. Eventually, I had to just accept it. And now I get this opportunity to serve these wonderful people. I get to minister to them. I get to love on them. And it's such an honor. Isaiah 6:8, a very popular verse. And a lot of people remember it because the ending says, "Here I am, send me." But in the First Nations version, it says, "Then I heard the voice of the Great Spirit. Who will I send? Who will go speak for us?" And I answered, "Here I am, send me." In my family, when my sons were young, I have teenage boys. One of them's in the Army now, serving in Korea. But when they were younger, we used to do these family Bible studies. And one of my sons noted that all the heroes of the Old Testament, the people we think of as heroes, Moses and Abraham and all these other individuals, they all answer God in the same manner. they all answer very much like Isaiah here. Here I am. The Lord calls upon them and they say, here I am. And for a long time, we had this sign that my kids hand painted and we kept it in our living room. And it would be a reminder of us to us, here I am. Here I am, send me. And for a long time, I thought the 1 week out of the year that I was coming to serve here at the Navajo Mission was, I was performing that duty. I was performing, what God had called me to do. Who will I send? Well, once a week, once a month, or I mean, once a year, that's perfectly fine, but that's not what he was calling me to. And so it took a long time for me to recognize that God was calling me into the mission field where I now get to serve. That this book that I wrote, it isn't just about me. It's about what God can do with anyone. If God can take a poor, homeless kid from trailer parks in Arkansas, make him a, extremely decorated soldier, allow me the opportunity to go to college. And I'm working on my doctorate right now. And so all the things that I shouldn't be able to do, all the things that society says I can't do because of my background, God said, no, look, this is what I can do with you. If God can do that with me, he can do it with anyone. And we all have these battles. Some of you are in the middle of battles right now. Others have scars that they're trying to hide. And a few are probably just waiting on the Lord to show you what's next. But in the waiting, in the struggles, you don't have to do it alone. And I think that's the great thing about being a believer, is you don't have to fight those battles alone. I thought for a long time that I had to fight my battles alone, which is why I turned to alcohol. That's why I became suicidal, because I thought I couldn't defeat the battle. I couldn't win the battle because the battle was in my mind and I was fighting it alone. My wife reminded me that I didn't have to do it alone. That not only did I have my family by my side, I had a creator who loved me. It says, in Genesis that he made us in his image. And when you combine that with this idea, God makes us in his image, and then he sends his son to die for us while we're still in the dark place, while we're still in sin, while we're still struggling, while we're still broken, as the First Nation version said. I just love that, broken, how it says what we're broken. I mean, that's a loving God. That's a loving creator. That's the type of God I want to serve. And so when he calls, nowadays, I'm willing to say, here I am, send me. And it was a difficult transition for us. Don't get me wrong. Going from serving in the military for 21 and a half years, the only career I'd ever known. I mean, I joined the Army right out of high school. So going from that to being a pastor, I don't know if you could imagine, but that's a fairly substantial change. But it's been amazing. I've been here now for a little over 2 years, and the time that I've gotten to be here has just been nothing short of phenomenal. But it was hard. It was hard to say, okay, God, I'm ready, send me. I'm ready to sell my house. We had this big, beautiful house. We're ready to go live in our camper for a while. We're ready to move out to the middle of nowhere. If you've been to the mission, you know that we aren't exactly close to stuff. And our road is not exactly easily accessible. But you know what? God has blessed us through it. God really has blessed us and blessed our family. We've gotten closer as a family, and we've grown so much. And we've gotten to see this community grow. And so, like I said, we all have our battles. But the real question is when God calls on us, are we going to say, here I am, send me? Because even in the middle of our storm, if you remember Jesus walking on water, in the middle of the storm, Jesus calms the seas. In the middle of the storm, he's still there. He's with us in the middle of that storm. And so, are you just waiting to see what God's going to show you next? Are you fighting these battles? Will you bring him your story? See, that was one of the hardest things for me, was to let go and say, you know what, God, I don't have to do this alone any longer. I don't have to feel like a failure. I don't have to be the kid that was abandoned. That's not who I am. That may be what my story was. That's not what my story is today. Because it doesn't matter that my family wasn't there for me. Because it says in the word, it says that once we accept Jesus Christ, that we become adopted into God's family. And again, this idea of this creator that's willing to bring me in as a part of his family, adopt me into his family. It's sometimes hard to even fathom that somebody like me could be accepted by a loving God. As I look back at Romans 12:1, offer your whole being as a living offering. This is the true and proper way to honor and give him thanks. Offer your whole being as a living offering. Hey, God, use me in your way. Use me how you want to use me, because I'm going to tell you, writing this book was not something I wanted to do. There's a lot of tragedy and heartache, and I didn't want to relive that. So much so that it took me about 10 years to write, because I just couldn't get through it. And it wasn't until God said, hey, why don't you lay those burdens on me? Let me help you with those burdens. You don't have to walk through them alone. And once I did that, it all finally started to flow. This is the true and proper way to honor and give him thanks. We need to be ready to surrender our past and step into God's future. Everybody does. If you need healing from battle wounds, no matter what those battles that you're fighting are, you need to bring them to God. If you feel called to something greater, you need to stop now and bring that to God. Stop running from it, because I'm telling you, once you stop running from what God is trying to do in your life and you let him work in your life, it's the most freeing thing ever. It's like a burden is lifted. You don't have to carry all of it anymore. If you're interested in the book, it's on Amazon. If you need encouragement, I feel like it's a great opportunity. All the proceeds from the book go back to support the mission. So we're trying to use it as to help with the mission. And so, I throw that out there. And as we said earlier, RAIM's coming out, the Revitalization of American Indian Ministries. So just a quick plug for those guys. It's a group we work with here in the Four Corners, and they try to bring Native American ministry leaders together to work together. And they do it once a month at different locations. So we get an opportunity to host this month. But it's so beautiful when we all work together for the kingdom. So if you're in the area and you want to come by, or, you're down in Albuquerque and you want to make the beautiful drive down Highway 57 here, you're more than welcome to come out. But it's beautiful when we all work together. And I like what Brian was saying earlier about no leader within the group, just everybody having a piece of it. And that's really what we should be striving for. And so that's what they're trying to do with RAIM. And we're so honored to be a part of that. And it's Native American leaders from all over the Four Corners area that lead Native American either ministries or churches or like us missions. And they're all coming together to try to find a way to better serve the Native American people. With what Casey's been doing, for years, pioneering the contextual type ministry, You know, and having a part of that out here, he served out here for quite a while, helping out with the Overcomers program. And I know Brian has been out here, uh, and his daughter went to school here, right? In Najoni Christian Academy. Yeah, there's a picture of her in the hallway. So there's a lot of tie-in back, but working together is amazing. But getting back to it, you know, if you need healing from battle wounds, you need to bring those to God. If you feel called to something greater, bring that to God. Again, I just want to thank you guys. I want to say a quick prayer for the group. So if you guys will pray with me, Father, thank you for this wonderful ministry, Lord, for the heart that these people have for spreading the good news that Creator sets free. Father, we thank you for being the type of loving Father, the type of Creator that wants to have relationship with us, that wants to bring us out of those battles and not allow us to descend into darkness. And Lord, we love you and we thank you. And it's in your Son's precious name that we pray. Amen.
All right. Thank you for sharing with us tonight. Before we head into our discussion time, we will go into a silent reflection time, which will be provided by Brian with the Native American flute. And this will give us a chance to sift through what we have just heard, and to dig a little deeper, eh? So I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Brian to do our silent reflection time. So go ahead and take it away, Brian.
All right, so the floor is open. Uh, one thing that came to my mind when you were sharing, Sean, was how often it is the person who thinks that they're not worthy of something, the person who has that humility to understand that they don't have it all together, that often they are the ones who are the most appropriate people, to step up and lead, because they're going to be open to hearing from people, and to really think about what's going on. And that, yeah, it really takes an overconfident person to really mess things up. Like anytime something goes really bad, it's usually like someone who was really arrogant and overconfident, that was kind of leading the charge on it. So yeah, it made me think about that, about how usually that humility should be like the first requirement, when we're looking for folks to head things up.
I appreciate what you shared. It made me think about how my grandma always used to say, "Why do you think everything is always a fight?" And I think when you grow up struggling in that way, you don't even realize how many of your behaviors are that way. Like, there's the old saying, people who grow up on love and people who grow up on survival have different perspectives. And that's very true. So it's like hard when you finally like are treated well or loved to like really process all the ways that you have still survival behaviors, and how many times like it's not even a conscious thing for you to think about fighting. It's just like a subconscious like response or a reaction to like a memory or something, And so I think what you were saying about how important it is to give things to God is like very relevant, because like some memories won't ever fade and they won't ever go away, and they'll like always be kind of in the peripherals of things. And like as you process them and learn to like accept love in new ways, it kind of means that like you have to give that to God, because like you can't carry it. Not because you can't carry it in a moment, or not because it's not something that's there, but it's like just something that you haven't been called to carry forever. And I think that's kind of like what healing is like. It's kind of like letting go of the fact that like even though you can be a warrior, you don't always have to be a warrior. And that's hard, but it's an important thing to like come to. So thank you for sharing.
Go ahead, Helen.
I was thinking as Heaven was talking and thinking back about the talk, how important discernment is, to know that that call to leadership really is from God, to make sure that it's not overconfidence masquerading as a calling. Like I was thinking of one of my favorite books, and there's a funny scene. They all live on a ranch, and one of the sisters is the cook. And suddenly, a sister who's never cooked in her life decides she wants to cook, and she ends up making a terrible meal, and everybody gets sick. And they all are complaining, whatever made her think she could cook? And um, thinking how it was more her wanting to show up her sister rather than really feeling that she was ready to step up. So it wasn't coming as a spirit led thing, and it had disastrous results. But I was thinking about being a living sacrifice. And if you are filled with the Spirit, then you are going to succeed with that. But you have to discern that that's what it is and not ego.
Well, I'd like to, ask a question. You shared a lot about, like about brokenness and, um, like being set on solid ground, and you were talking a lot about, like what it means to like go through battles, not just actual like warrior battles, but like other warrior power or other warrior battles. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue tied. Um, but I was wondering, like throughout your journey, like what helped you like mentally transition from like the brokenness that you had the to like the wholeness that you have now. Like what helped you mentally anyway, Yeah.
I think it's a combination of things that really helped me. I think first accepting Jesus as my savior, that was a big step. But then seeing the way that God moved in my life, uh, defying the odds, things like just meeting my wife, the family that we created, seeing that the way that I grew up is not normal, it's not the right way, but getting an opportunity to be a part of a loving family, even if it's a family that I kind of got to help build and create. And then I think the family that I made within the church, as well. And the church that actually sent me here 15 years ago is Blended Nation Fellowship out of Chaparral, New Mexico. It was the first church I'd ever been to. I'm a Southern Baptist kid at heart. And so those are the only churches I've ever been to, up until I attended this church. And when I went to this church, they had, uh, well, and you got to understand the pastor there, Ernie Nedia, was good friends with Casey. So that kind of explains the church a little bit. And when we went in the first day, they had the Native American drum up at the front and they played it. But it was the people in that church that surrounded me, the community, that they just showed me so much love. Even today, um, that church is still a big part of our lives. They made us family. And as believers, being a part of a community, I think, really helped me mentally and helped kind of restore some of my brokenness.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for your sharing. Sorry, I was in the middle of munching. But thank you for answering my question. It's really helpful, especially for those of us going through current battles. So yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Paul. You're still muted right now, Paul.
I wanted to say thank you very much for coming and sharing with us, and mostly, a personal thanks just for the, whatever it takes in your prayer life, your walk to have obtained the boldness, the strength to be able to even, share your story without um, going off into the PTSD bogs. Telling the whole story or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, I think it's a remarkable testimony to the Lord's grace and power, what he's done in your life in this amount of time. It's just awesome. I know that you probably still have layers of, whatever, to work through every day, probably, but by the grace of God, that's what we're all doing, is overcoming the old nature, and that's all what that looping becomes. It's just all part of the old nature. It's all reactionary. It's not really based on, I found, present truth. If I can just remember, no, that was then, this is now. I was different then than I am now, grace of God, and the help of his people, like you say, too, community is absolutely essential. I feel isolating is the first sign that you're falling away in terms of dealing with old trauma. I think that, so anyway, I just want to say thanks a lot, and God bless you in your work. God go with you.
One little curiosity I have, Sean, is just kind of maybe just like a snippet of like what has your experience been like, kind of reorienting your thinking. And I think, Heaven and Upiditaka both kind of touched on this a little bit. But I know, like in my own life, I not anywhere near to the extent that yours was kind of a volatile upbringing, but my upbringing definitely had its roughness around the edges for sure. And I know that once I started following Creator in a meaningful way, even long before I was even considering marriage, that was one thing I really started praying about almost right away, was like, okay, God, I recognize the mistakes that, my family has made. I'm trying to have grace with them because they're just people and they were going through their own issues. And I just happened to be, in that environment. But I still, even though I'm trying to have grace with them, I still want to recognize, like, I don't want to like do those same things. And it was kind of interesting because it was at a point where after my children had grown up, and they started calling me out on like some of my behavior, or being like, "Oh man, that was kind of harsh the way you said that," and like my initial reaction was like, "That wasn't harsh. Like that was like totally like low key. Like, let me tell you what harsh was like. This is what happened, before whatever, And so like my initial reaction would be like oh yeah, like like defend my less than ideal behavior. But then like in the moment, I realized like, oh wow, like God like totally answered that prayer, because somehow I managed to raise children who were more sensitive and have a better sense of what normalcy should be than what I do. And so it's like, oh, that's actually great, even though I'm being like totally humbled right now, but like this is all a good thing. So, and so there is, there comes that thing where like I have to be like, yeah, I really should be trying to like think in a different way. And like as Heaven was saying, not just be in that survivor fight, kind of mode, but really recognize that as I try to raise my children in a different way, that I should really kind of be like raising my own mind in that same way, and like kind of applying that same thing to myself a little bit. But I don't know. I was just wondering, like, what your experience has been like in that, because you've definitely kind of been on both extremes in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, so I'm just curious as if you have any snippets in that vein that you'd like to share.
Yeah, that's a very challenging question. But I recall back to when we found out that my wife was pregnant the first time, and we were on the verge of deploying. This was early on in the Iraq War, and I wasn't real sure I was ready to be a parent, because I thought there's no way that I know how to be a parent, especially growing up the way I grew up. And I remember the night before I left for Iraq, I had all my stuff packed. It was all sitting in the living room. And we had just got done putting together the crib and setting up the nursery. And I remember just sitting in the nursery, just in silence. There was nobody else awake, nobody was around. And I remember sitting in the nursery in silence and just praying, God, please let me be better. Let me do this different. And it dawned on me that I don't have to be my parents. I don't have to raise my kids the way I grew up. That I could raise them in a home where they're loved and they're cared for. And I don't know, that moment to me really changed everything for me, especially in terms of parenting. I wasn't even a father yet, but I remember looking at that crib, and this is before I knew we were having twins. If you want to hear the story about twins, you'll have to read the book because it's pretty funny. But I didn't know we were having twins just yet, and so we just had the one crib. And I remember sitting there it was just life changing because I knew that I wanted to give that child everything that I never had. Now, I won't say that we did it perfect. Our kids are almost grown now. Well, two of them are grown. There may have been times where my wife and I disagreed with uh, how to do things because I overcompensated a little bit. I wanted to give my kids absolutely everything, and she had to bring me back to reality at times, letting me know that they still needed boundaries. Uh, but I think if anything changed my way of thinking, it was God speaking to me in that moment while looking at that crib.
Cool. Yeah, that's powerful. All right. Well, any other questions or comments? Pititaka just shared something that kind of reemphasized what you said. Did you want to say anything more, Pititaka?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying what you're sharing tonight, Sean. It seems like it's very connected to like, I don't know, for example, my life. Um, we didn't experience the same things, but we kind of walk on parallels, I feel. Um, like how all of us do. Um, and so like I don't really know how to really sum it up, but it's like I was just thinking like what I put in the chat was that it's hard to express love like when you haven't really experienced it or like only partly experienced it. Like for example, like my grandma was a uh, boarding school survivor, and she learned a lot of her parenting ways from that lifestyle. She had to raise up her brothers and her sisters, and then when it came to her time to raise like my mom and my uncle, um, it was it was a little different. Like it was a, I guess you could say it was like a tough love kind of situation, you know, like a like tough love. And then having experienced that from my mom, you know, who also who took it down a notch really. um, and then coming to my turn to be a parent and trying to learn how to take it a notch further down, you know, and trying to like, you know, show my kids that I love them because I do. And it's just like it's hard like when you still have like those like generational wounds, I guess. But yeah, I was just thinking a lot about how you were sharing about that and the importance of the crib. I really would like to read your book. I feel like that would be a good like a good read. Hey, something to like remind me that the struggles and the hardships and the things that are just like inside of your head, the battle inside of your head is like it's not it's not un like overcomable. It's not like you can't overcome it. You know, I really liked the message that you were sharing tonight, and I really appreciate it and the timely manner that it's come to us. You know, um, as one of the, like how I was saying earlier, one of the things that I really enjoy about being connected with Creator and being connected with one another is we all share we all share a we share a story together. You know, we all share a giant story. But anyway, yeah. So I was just thinking about that, and I'm just really appreciative, and I'm thankful for your openness, and um, yeah. So uh, just I pray that you continue to inspire a lot of us, say a lot of the people who haven't heard your story yet. I hope that they hear it soon. So yeah. So thank you.
Cool. All right. Any other last comments or questions? If not, we'll move into our closing round dance. Let me get the words up on the screen here. Yes, Cararonqua. Yes, Cararonqua. Yes, Cararonqua. Yes, Jesus is good medicine, Jesus is good medicine, Yes, Jesus is good medicine, Jesus is good medicine,
All right. That was such a great tonight was such a great night. But yes, a big round of applause for our relative Sean O'Connor, aka Sean Connery. Yes, thank you so much for your sharing. In Indian ways, if you're a relative, we like to tease you. So yeah, so that's our teasing time. But yeah, so um Brian, who is going to be doing our send-off blessing tonight?
I think Twyla will do it in house here.
All right, sounds good. So we'll hand this on over to Twyla for our send-off blessing.
Creator, we thank you for this time that you have given us to share with each other, with spirit, with love. I ask, Father, that you would guide each one of us in our separate lives, in our separate homes, in our separate cities. Let us feel your spirit around us and keep us safe from harm. And remind us to be filled with your love that will flow to those that we encounter. In your name I pray. Aho.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. And we'll see you all next week and maybe see you Tuesday. Hey, Keisha. And see you maybe at the book study tomorrow. And if not, hope to see you online, typing away on the Facebook page there too. So, all right. Thanks for coming, everybody. We'll see you.
All right, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.